Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LG Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Single Taken Other, this is season 2, episode 5. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can subscribe, and you can also leave your comments below. Let's get into episode 5. All right, so we start off at a photo shoot. They are going to be shooting and interviewing BB. Taryn has some disgruntledness because she has to watch over Mercedes. Knowing that Mercedes is up to no good, you see Mercedes is on the phone while they're doing their due diligence around the photo shoot to make everything happen. Connie, who I call Connie Spaulding, shout out to two can play that game. She's giving directives to Brittany and to the other coworker, the guy coworker, and wanting things done. Brittany has an attitude because they haven't resolved anything, Connie and Brittany, and giving her tasks and trying to rush her in certain things, and Brittany gives her attitude and says, I'm trying to complete these tasks in an orderly fashion, da-da-da-da-da. They're going at it, da-da-da, and Connie walks off. The co-worker's like, hey, what's up, you know, we probably need to find a way to work together and all this. And Brittany's like, after what she did to me, you try to sideswipe me, why would I do anything for her? So she ends up coming together with Taryn and Monica, but before Brittany could get there, Taryn and Monica do kind of compare notes, and Monica updates her on what she has found out about what Mercedes is doing. She's definitely up to something because now she's trying to get in good with Joan to get assignments directly by Joan after she already came to me, da-da-da-da-da. And Taryn was like, definitely she's a snake, she got something going on, da-da-da-da-da, but it's not enough to prove anything to Joan as of yet. So Brittany comes by and she gives her frustrations with Connie Spaulding and says, look, I'm really 2 seconds away from dragging her. And Taryn knows that she means it, and it's best to stay on Brittany's good side. So I think Monica brought up Ahmad, and Taryn's not really feeling him right now. My focus is not on him. She's been keeping him on ice, hasn't been talking to him or anything to that nature. I think she said something about little light text here, but it's been very cold that direction. She says, well, look, I'm trying to get next to someone else. And she puts her focus on Kasim. Yeah, this is his name, Kasim. Kasim is a photographer in the last episode where they locked eyes with each other and were instantly attracted to one another. Taryn goes over there, introduces herself, apologizes for busting in on their meeting and all that. No worries. As they do a little light flirting, Kasim has her sit down to do some test photos. And she does it, and she gives all her pearly whites and all that good stuff. Next thing you know, guess who comes in the door with a bouquet of flowers? Ahmad. And he says, what the F is this? He gets instantly mad because he thinks that there's something going on between Kasim and Taryn. Taryn breaks up the situation and has Ahmad go outside and says, okay, what's up? Why are you here? Why would you come to my job like that? I didn't even know you knew where my job was at. Da, 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 da. He said, I came here to apologize. And you sitting up here smiling and cheesing for another Negro. And she's like, it's not even like that. He's our photographer, da, 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 da. We can talk about this later, but get away from here, da, da, da. He leaves. Now, Taryn is the one that's supposed to do the interview. We don't actually see the interview. But anyways, we move on to Kara. Kara gets an email from Lance. Lance is just updating her on what his future moves on her behalf is happening. He's going to be meeting with the city's contractor and also his realtor, and he'll let her know what happens. Then Kara wanders off after that reading that email to find a little bit more out about Lance. She goes to his website, which is his company with the other lawyers that he's associated with, and sees some of his accomplishments, and then goes to his social media. At that point, Gary calls and interrupts, and she basically is zapped back into reality. She ends up just talking with him, da-da-da-da-da. Taryn goes to her home and tries to have it out with Ahmad. Ahmad is sitting there, and you can see that he's frustrated. She's frustrated too and annoyed by him. And she's like, well, what was that? Why did you do that? And why did you come to my job like that? I came to you to apologize. And I'm seeing you in front of this person and all that. And I just reacted the way that I did. Taryn said that she wanted to make sure that she became a better communicator. At first I was like, well, why? Because it seemed like you're doing a great job. But obviously there's some things that you just don't tell him or even bring up because you don't even know how he's going to react. So it's best to make your attentions or make whatever request known up front or whatever to see if you guys can be eye to eye. Well, she says, look, I just want you to be more considerate of me and all of that. You cannot do what you did again. Now, I was thinking it was about the job, but maybe it was about being inconsiderate. I don't know. Anyways, he says that'll never happen again. And then she also tells us and then him that she was quite excited for a guy to get that type of jealousy and fight for her. She's never really had that before. So I guess he kind of wants some points for that. And then she tells him, you know, what she already told us about it. So it's like, okay, well, okay, Taryn, we'll see what happens. All right, so it is Juneteenth, and there's a celebration at Kara's home. Her mother is setting up a lot of decorations, and Kara's like, ain't this too much? And Mama's like, no, it's not. Let's just let this happen the way it's supposed to happen. Kara gets on her younger brother, Wesley, like, can't you get up and do something, be productive in this whole situation? He's like, it looks like y'all got it, so I'm just gonna sit here and do my thing. We find out later that Wesley's kind of still hanging at the house. It looks like he's of age, but he's the baby son. A lot of the sons, they get coddled sometimes until they actually finally launch at some point in their lives. And I think that was the writer's intention to say that. Of course, the women, you either go wife up someplace or you find your own career path. Royce takes Joy to his mother's home. Before they get in there, he tries to prep her as to how she should present herself. All you got to do is give her a kiss on the cheek and tell her that her food looks great and you'll be good. And of course, Joy is nervous and like, right? Because she doesn't know what to really expect. So they go inside and we meet Mama Rose. And I found out that the actor that plays Royce, that is his real mother. I said, oh, that is so cool. Anyways, Joy tries to do what Royce tells him to do. She tries to go in for a hug and kiss. And of course, Miss Rose backs away. And the food looks good. She ain't got nothing to say. So Joy backs all the way back up to where she was and says, Royce, she says, where's Brittany? Roy says that we're not really talking anymore. You did something. It's your fault. But let's just say that Miss Rose loves Brittany. And unfortunately, Joy caught astray because of who Mama Rose loves. So she made a dish that he's taking to the Juneteenth party. Of course, she was going off on him. But then as he's about to leave, he says, have your coworker, my God, help you with something. And she takes something outside that was a part of what she was, what Royce is presenting to the celebration. Oh, Joy. Taryn goes and visits her mother. Now, if you notice, Taryn, she was really rushing to get away from her mom. She wanted to grab the dish that her mom was making and to get up out of there, but her mom wasn't having it whatsoever. She wants to know a little bit more of what's going on with Taryn. How's your little friend doing? What Taryn lets us know is that Caribbean parents do not acknowledge your relationship until after you've gotten married. Technically, you're kind of single until you are married, so that might be the principle that they live by. I'm not for sure what's up with that. But anyways, Taryn says he's fine. Mama says, that doesn't sound good. When was the last time you prayed for your relationship? She tells us, Taryn does, I haven't talked to God about Ahmad since we reconnected. But see, he's so mature. But he showed in so many ways that he's not. Look, a bump, as Brittany says. Taryn also says, I just wanted to win. So that's why she didn't really consult God about, is this the guy that she's supposed to be with? So Taryn tells Mom, I pray every day, Mommy, but she didn't answer the question. Mama says, something's still wrong. You haven't asked God if he's the one for you. And at this age, you have no time to settle. And at that point, of course, that got to Taryn, but I don't think that mom said anything wrong. Even in your attempts to finally ask him certain things about him. That's why I didn't even I promise you I didn't trust Taryn when she said in the first episode, he's quite mature. And everything y'all refer back to is when you guys were in your college days. Y'all, there's nothing that y'all have done to move forward. Y'all just probably got finer as the time went on. That's all. Monica and Paul. Paul thinks that they should bring something to the Juneteenth. Monica says, so you want to cook? And Paul says, no. And he says he'll be back. I think that they're just going to bring utensils and stuff like that. I forgot who called whom, but Monica and her mother connect. I'm absolutely loving the family dynamic where we're seeing it kind of grounds the characters and gives a little bit more layers to the characters. Well, I did say Monica calls her mom, so I guess it was Monica that did. Anyways, they speak, catch up a little bit. She tells her mom about the promotion that she got, or she tells her mom about her promotion. Is that what I said? Hopefully I did. And she was like, that's so good. Did you tell your father? And he said, well, she tried to, but his wife needed him. That's when the mom goes into her own rant about him. And obviously she can't stand this man. And she says, well, that wife acts like she's helpless and all that. He has another child. So Monica has a stepsister, or half-sister, not stepsister, half-sister, and was going to some game or something like that. So he says, oh, so he makes time for other people but can't make time for his own daughter. Monica defends him. I think that's a key. She's wanting some validation from male figures in her life. She'll chase after the thing, that toxic thing, when she really should leave that thing alone. Not saying that she has to give up on the relationship with her dad, but there's no sense of you always trying and your father not trying either. I said, ooh, that's another layer. That's something to help us in figuring out who Monica is and why she keep running up after Nick. Brittany goes and visits her sister Sophia. They talk briefly about Connie and all of that. Sophia wants to know what's going on with her love life. Where's Royce at? She says, well, we're not together. He has a girlfriend. And she's like, wait, what? Brittany goes into, well, he was talking to someone else while talking with me. He said, okay, well, so were you guys on the same page of everything? Were y'all really together? She wanted to sideswipe all of that. And that's the thing where I keep coming back to. I'm not saying that Royce is right in the whole situation, but at the same point, Brittany, you never really stepped up until finally Royce chose someone that was available to him, who actually wanted a relationship, who wanted to be seen out in public with him. And again, Royce is wrong too. However, you helped that in a way, in my opinion. But y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that. Sophia did ask, did you want to be with Royce? And Brittany just says, I'm moving on. I want to move on. They later talk about their mother. Her father and mother did divorce early on in their lives. And there was also some mental issues with the mother. So, wow. And Brittany's had this guard up towards people. And Sophia was giving her advice of just you got to let someone in and let your guard down. We do meet Sophia's husband, David. They seem like a loving family. They have a child and all of that. And Brittany's seeing them as models, and you can see that she really does want something more. It's just now her letting herself feel what needs to be felt, just to get into something more than the surface dating that she has been doing for such a long time. So at the Juneteenth party celebration, the girls, Monica, Taryn, and Kara, they speak briefly about Wesley, and some of them saying, "Oh, he's kind of cute," and Kara's like, "Ew." And don't y'all got men anyways? Like, focus on them. And then Kara notices that Ahmad is getting into it with one of her cousins. They go over there, and there's this debate about Juneteenth. Ahmad's fight about Juneteenth is it's just another holiday. Nobody cared about Juneteenth until a couple of years ago when it became a federal holiday. And Kara was like, well, I knew about it, da-da-da-da-da, so you can't just say that nobody knew anything about it or cared about it, da-da-da-da-da. Ahmad was like, well, you're pro-black. And what was that supposed to mean, Ninja? We went to the same HBCU. But it's not really taught. And in Florida, it's definitely not really taught anymore. And our current governor is making sure that black history is really extinguished from any type of curriculum in schools. I didn't know about Juneteenth growing up, or at least it wasn't presented as Juneteenth. I did go to an all-white school. There was, of course, we did talk about slavery and Reconstruction and Jim Crow and the civil rights. I'm not totally depleted, but as far as a full explanation as to what Juneteenth is, that was never taught. So I'm catching up. Monica does make a point, no matter what you haven't been taught early on, you can invest in knowing your history now as adults. I agree. Taryn is really turned off just knowing at how displaced Ahmad is about this whole Juneteenth situation. And she's like, look, I know that we can have disagreements about this, but is there anything that we're really compatible about? I'm glad you're waking up, but I need you to wake up a lot faster, Taryn. So the other two friends from Kara's other friend group, the messy ones, they start talking about Kara's birthday party, because it's going to be a trip someplace. Joy is there, and they decide to talk about it. Taryn's like, why are y'all talking about this? She's telling us. Because Joy is there with Royce. And now asking, Royce, are you coming? And are you bringing her? And Taryn was like, I think Royce needs to talk to Kara first and not just bringing someone along. And they said, I'm sure she don't mind. I mean, come with us. No more the merrier. I said, Lord, y'all just trying to be messy. Because y'all know about the whole Brittany and Royce thing. I don't even know if does Joy know anything about Brittany and Royce? I can't remember. Lance does text Kara to let him know that he has some great news for her. And can they meet later on? She said, of course, I'm at the party right now and I can meet you around 8. Cool. Let's see, he can get... All right, so we move on to Kara and Lance. Oh, before we go there, Brittany has Leon come over and basically says, hey, I want to take you up on your offer. Let's really get to know one another and let's try this dating thing for real instead of hooking up. Of course, he's excited and all that good stuff. Kara goes over to Lance's office and he gives him an update. He found a building for Kara that's 5 miles away from her old location. And he believes that he can get more money where she can upgrade her services to better serve her community. This excites Kara. She hugs him, and as she's releasing herself from the hug, she then plants a kiss on him. It wasn't just a pet. She was going into a total makeout mode, and he did nothing. But he kissed back, of course, but he did nothing to initiate this kiss, so I said, my God. Gara fans, we ain't doing good. So she finally comes to herself and said, oh, I'm sorry. And she excuses herself. Now, Lance, you are looking in a way, I don't know if anyone else caught this. Lance was like, come back. But it felt like this comeback, like, finish what you started. I said, wow. Wow. That was the end of the episode, y'all. Just messy, y'all. I'm enjoying these episodes. These writers are doing a fantastic job. Don't y'all agree? Let me know in the comments, y'all, because my God. But I appreciate everyone for coming. Like, comment, subscribe. And make sure you are watching the episodes every Friday at 12 midnight. You can watch. Again, like, comment, subscribe. And until the next one, peace.